I'm starting a business right now, and what's fascinating is that a lot of billionaires are doing the same exact thing. Everyone that I look up to in terms of business acumen, their achievements, they're all doing the same exact thing. And I've been talking about this on this channel for quite some time of where I see the world going, the great wealth transfer that's happening right now, what everyone should be doing, at least from my perspective, and what I think things could likely do to benefit people that are doing what I'm saying. A little backstory. This gentleman here, Tom Gores, this man, why this article jumped out to me especially is my mentor sold him a home for $100 million. And this was, 4 or 5 years ago. So this mentor of mine, a little backstory, a little pre-backstory. So when I was like 22, 23 years old, became a real estate agent in Long Beach, California, sold 5 houses in 3 months. And at that time, made barely anything. After breaking a cutoff to the brokerage and I was in a little training program, I realized I was never going to get rich there. So I canceled that. I got a letter of recommendation, worked in Beverly Hills. And instead of working for myself, I worked with, depending on the time, between 4 and 6 of the top agents in Beverly Hills. And my goal was to understand how they negotiated, how they got their clients, understand what their clients did for work, and trying to help myself see things further. To get a better understanding of what I would need to do, what I would need to achieve to really achieve that high net worth, that status. I was always chasing, big goals. And so my mentor, we represented some really big properties. I was not a part of this sale here for $100 million, but her husband also represented Kylie Jenner on like a $30 million build in Bel Air. Some really, really, really big deals. And when I was a part of, that Beverly Hills scene as an agent, I learned so much. But one thing was foresight, understanding things and seeing things before they happen. That's when the opportunity is made. And so this article is very fascinating because on this channel, I've been talking about, what I'm going to be doing, my distressed debt real estate fund that I'll be talking about a little bit more, maybe in the next 3 to 4 weeks. I'm still working with my team of attorneys right now, finalizing some of the details. So I'll talk about that later. But ultimately, I'm going to be raising money, and I'm going to be doing something that's going to be very unique and against the tide in the real estate market. But we look at what Tom Gores is doing. We look at what Carlyle Group is doing, Blackstone. All of these companies are doing the same exact thing, and this was just announced what they're doing. This was announced yesterday. And I've been talking about this wealth transfer taking place on this channel, the last year, 6 months. We've really been talking a lot about this. But this is what they're doing, and this is what I think everyone should be doing going forward. So first, I'm going to talk about what they're doing. So Platinum Equity is a $15 billion buyout fund, first ever credit vehicle. Platinum Equity is looking to raise as much as $15 billion for its latest buyout fund, making it the largest in the firm's 26-year history, according to people with knowledge of the matter. The private equity firm Billionaire, founded by Tom Gores, has set an initial target of $12 billion for the 6th vintage of its flagship strategy and may increase the total by $3 billion, depending on investor demand, people said. Seeking to capitalize on increased investor appetite for higher yielding assets in the current low rate environment, the firm is seeking as much as $1 billion for its first ever fund dedicated to credit investments, according to the people. So this is the ideal time for these companies, for investors as a whole, right? If we look at what they're doing buyouts, they're trying to buy out other companies, they're trying to deploy heavy pools of capital into certain investment opportunities, right? And why these investors are going to dive in on certain things now makes a lot of sense, because their dollar is going to be worth a lot less tomorrow than it is today. And if they can buy something today that is going to hold value at a minimum and grow over time, producing passive income along the way, every investor is going to likely jump on that. Because the dollar tomorrow, after they continue printing these $3 trillion, $4 trillion infrastructure packages, all of these, they're even talking about a universal basic income, these stimulus packages, they're going to kill the dollar. They are going to kill the dollar. But what's going to ultimately happen is a lot of these companies right now that have been successful for the last 10, 15 years, their distribution's changing, their shipping costs are changing, oil costs are going up, cost of goods are going up, inflation's killing small mom and pop businesses. So right now is the ultimate time for everybody to take a hard look at their businesses and say, am I positioned for a very successful 2022 and 2023? If not, be honest with myself, what can I do right now to maybe restructure things or change certain things so that I'm positioned for success going forward? And this is why I say this. Private equity firms are raking in capital at a record pace. Blackstone Inc. is seeking as much as $30 billion for its next buyout fund, which would become the industry's largest. Carlyle Group's targeting $27 billion, and Advent International is looking for $25 billion. Including co-investments, which allow institutional investors to selectively participate in acquisitions alongside the fund, but for lower fees, Platinum may be able to deploy an additional 25% of the fund's final size, or about $19 billion in total, the People said. A representative, Beverly Hills, California, declined to comment. Platinum's new credit strategy will leverage the expertise of a team led by Michael Fabino, whose Platinum hired 3 years ago from Blackstone's credit arm, GSO, to invest in companies facing operating and financial challenges. So this is what the opportunities are going to be right now for these big companies. They're going to be going in there and really seizing that moment, seizing that opportunity. And I'm seeing this a lot even in my personal life, having friends and colleagues and people around me telling me, hey, sales are plummeting or sales are skyrocketing. No one's telling me, hey, everything is the same today as it was in 2019. It's just, we're not hearing that, right? So this is why I'm reading so much. Even for these videos, every day I'm doing 4 or 5 hours worth of research for these videos. And at night I'm reading several hours a night just to try to see, hey, what am I doing today that I could be maybe thinking a little bit better? I could be thinking more clearly, or maybe repositioning some of my goals or thoughts so that I'm taking advantage of the biggest wealth transfer at the highest potential that I have. And that's that moment right now, I feel like, that we all have, is what will be the highest and best use of our time right now? Is it our current business? For me, 2 years ago, as a real estate agent, I saw the writing on the wall. I saw that this is not going to be the highest and best use of my time. Took off the entire year and I literally just read, and it was the best decision that I ever made. And that's what I think a lot of people should be doing right now, is asking themselves that big, hard question of what this big opportunity is in front of us and what you could be doing to take advantage of it. Drop your thoughts below. Do you agree with me? Do you think we're stepping into the greatest wealth transfer in human history? And do you think that all of these private equity firms are right, as well as myself? Because I've been talking about it, as I mentioned, on this channel well before this information became public. Drop your comments below, subscribe here, and consider subscribing on my second channel, my personal channel. I'm going to leave links pinned down below in the top comment. See you guys next video.